Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So for today's class, we will be drawing a wolf. So this
Oh,
is the
this coyote. Good job.
reference picture that we will be using. So everyone can take a picture of this.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, nice. So the materials that we will be using is a pencil.
Okay. Pencil.
So
Okay.
any type of pencil is fine.
Mhm.
And of course, an eraser.
Okay.
Good job. And
And a pen. So a fine liner, a ballpoint pen of any sorts that you can use, preferably a thinner pen is all fine. If it's a colored pen, that is also okay. So something like this. So for those of you that are just joining, I will put the reference picture up again. So this is the picture that we will be referencing, and we will be needing a pencil for sketching and a pen. So it could be a fine liner, a ballpoint pen, something that has a hard tip that can give you more control. So something like this.
the last one is black pen.
Yes, black pen. But if you have other colors, that is fine too. Preferably a darker color. So it's best if you use a pen with a hard tip, nothing too brushy. Does everyone have this picture? If you don't, that is also fine. You can just follow along with what I'm doing. So to start, please take out your pencil. We are going to start with a basic rough sketch. So for this step, we just want to break down the wolf into simple shapes, and we want to work with our pencil as lightly as possible, since this is just a rough sketch for us to determine the wolf's features. So when you look at this picture, it's mostly a head. All we can really see is the upper half of the wolf. So we want to draw the head bigger to fill up the page since we can only see the head. So to start, we just want to draw a big circle, a softly, just to sketch out the wolf's head. So I place the head about little bit above the center of the page. So all I'm drawing now is a circle. The circle is one of the most useful shapes when it comes to just sketching.
Good job.
So just a circle for the head. And then from the circle, we will bring down the wolf's neck. So like this, just from the two sides. A slightly curved line. So a slightly curved line down. So it's moving away from the circle. So again, we want to take this step as lightly as we can. And then for the outside, we will do the same. So from the side of the circle, just bring a line moving outwards and curving towards the left. Like this. So this is what you should have so far, just a circle and two lines. And then we can, if you look at the picture, you can see that most of the wolf's body is hidden behind his face, the front side of his torso, as well as the tree. So all we need to do is go to the bottom of this circle, just trace it over here to the left line and draw a curved line like this. This is the visible part of the wolf's body that we can see on this picture. So like this. So obviously the wolf's head is not a flat 2D circle. It's very much a 3D shape. So we want to draw guidelines to show that, and we can also use this step to locate all of the wolf's features, as well as the direction of the face. So the wolf here is looking slightly towards our left. So we want to also just draw in the guidelines so that this circle, which will become a sphere, will also be facing that way. So just put 2 points at the center, at the top, very top, and the very bottom of your circle at exactly opposite ends, and then do the same horizontally. So you have 4 points. This is where we will be drawing out our lines. Just have these 4 points to help us visualize the shape of a sphere, something like this. This is also a very crucial step when drawing anything circular, especially when drawing human heads. You will always start with a sphere. So now that we have this, we want to draw in the guidelines, draw in the construction for the sphere. So if you look at the wolf, you'll see that the wolf's head is looking directly forward. So for that, we can just draw a fairly straight fairly straight line for our sphere here, just to show that the sphere is facing directly forward and not downwards or upwards. So just draw this straight line to show that the sphere is facing forward directly. If we look at this sphere and try to visualize things, let's say this is the line that we've drawn, and let me just draw on some eyes for our little ball here. So if this is our face, and this is the center line across the sphere, if it's looking forward, the center line will appear to be flat. But if it's looking downwards, you'll see the shape of the sphere inside this line, and we can see that it is curved. Same goes for the other way if it's looking up. So we have to draw in this line. And then now we can draw in the vertical line. So if you see that the wolf is looking slightly towards the left, we want to make sure we draw our line, center line, so that it's also curved that way. It's curved in the direction that the wolf is looking, like this. And if we draw in the hidden lines that we can't see, you'll see that it is also curved on the other side. So it's basically a flattened circle. So this is how we give our circles, our spheres, the volume when we're drawing, so that it's not just a plain flat circle. So that now that we have this, just from these simple lines itself, we can see that the wolf is looking directly forward and to the left. So with this, we can start drawing in the wolf's features. So this is the center line, which is very important to have when you're drawing any types of face, because this is the line that the nose and the mouth of the face will be sitting on. So we can start drawing the entire nose, entire snout of our wolf. So go to the center line and go up a little bit. So this is the top part of the snout, where the snout is coming out of. So draw a line just above the center line. And then also draw a line just above the lower line. So this is the height of the wolf's snout. And if you see the snout, you can see that it is an oval shape. But because the wolf is facing left, we can't just draw a flat oval. We have to make sure that our shape also contains direction. So follow the center line, go down like this, draw a line like this. This is the center line of the snout. And then just draw a line curving back into the face. So now we can see that we've marked the area protruding from the face. And with this, we can draw in our nose. So just draw in an oval shape near the lower end of our snout, like this, an oval shape. And then at the center, find the center of the oval shape. And then above it, draw a straight line. So now we have the nose separated into the front-facing side and the side facing upwards. So this is the point of the nose. And then below it, you can draw 2 circles for the nostrils. So this is what everyone should have. So we're just building up the wolf's basic features by using simple shapes, as well as estimating the distances from the picture. So now that you have this, go to the center of the nose and draw a small line down. This is the line connecting the nose and the wolf's mouth. So from there, you can just draw a straight line for the mouth, right to the edge of the nose. And then draw a curved line up to here. So just below the top of the nose. And since the wolf is facing towards the left side, our left side, that means more of the wolf's right side of the face will be visible to us. So the right side of the snout will be bigger than the left side. So like this. You can see that the right side, here is more visible because the wolf's face is facing to the left. And then now that we have this, we can go up to this line that we made earlier. And from here, we can find the wolf's eyes. So here, we want to draw a slightly slanted line outwards, and do the same with the other side. We are drawing this line because the wolf's eyes are on a slant. They're very sharp eyes. So from the center line, 1/3 of the way to the edge, we can draw a circle. for the wolf's eyes. So it should be a bit smaller than the wolf's nose. And then on the other side, also about 1/3 of the way to the edge, so about 1/3 of the way to the edge from the center line, we can draw in our other circle for the other eye. And then now we can finally finalize the shape of the wolf's head. So the wolf's head is not just a plain circle. So now we can just carve out that shape. So from the top here, just draw a straight line from the eye up here, about the distances of the eyes. And from there, we can draw a diagonal line like this. So this is very useful to do, to just slowly figure out the shape of the subject you're drawing. But once you get more familiar with sketching, you should be able to just estimate every single part much faster. But always take it slow at first. And then now we finally have the shape of the wolf's head. We can draw in our ears. So they are just triangles. So draw a curved line here for the left ear, and then draw a fairly straight line down to the dot, like this. So make sure that the triangle for the ears are pointed upwards. So they're not pointing outwards or inwards, it's just pointing up. And if you want to do it right now, you can just try to adjust the shape to look closer to the reference. It's all about observing the reference picture. And we can repeat the steps for the other ear. So straight line up, about the same height as the other ear, and then draw a curved line down. So we don't have to worry about the fur or anything like that just yet, but we can very clearly see the different layers of fur in this wolf. For example, the most prominent one is definitely the V shape down below the fox's head. So we can draw that in so that it will be easier for us to locate when we start shading it with a pen. So from here, so about halfway from the body to the face head, we can draw a slightly curved line downwards to about a little more than halfway. And then you can finish it off on the other side like this. So unlike the head, the body of the wolf is facing a different direction. So you can see that the body here is visible on the left side of the main head. So that gives you an idea that the body of the wolf is facing towards our right side, just slightly. That's why the back of the body is visible on the left side and not on the right side. So now that we have our basics down, we can prepare to start going in with a pen. I will give everyone some time to just look to catch up maybe. But if you are done, you can start erasing some of the construction lines. For example, the middle line, middle circle line, as well as the vertical circle line, and the eye lines. So you can erase these construction lines because we no longer need them. So all you should have is the basic features. So the head, the body, the ears, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. We always want to take our rough sketch stage slowly so that we can slowly observe the reference picture to make sure that we get an as accurate as possible sketch so that we won't have to make unnecessary mistakes when fine lining or shading later on. So just before we go in with our pen, shading with I just want to say that shading with a pen is very, very different from shading with graphite, because with our graphite, we can very easily control our pressure on the paper to create different tones. So like we will sketch softer in lighter areas and then sketch a little darker and heavier in darker areas. But with pen, we can't really do that. Because pen, we're using ink, the ink will always be the same tone, no matter how much pressure you put on the pen. So it will always be the same color. So to express the different shades on our drawing, on our reference picture, instead of using pressure, we will have to play with the spacing between our lines. So in lighter areas, there are less lines. The lines are further apart. And in darker areas, the lines are going to be tighter together. So this is what we're going to be doing with our pen drawing. So hopefully everyone has caught up. So I will start. So everyone should get out their pen. So when we start, let's first mark out our darkest areas on the page as landmarks. So that would be our nose and the outline of our eyes. Make sure to leave the eyes blank since they are very light. So, okay, so starting with our pen, we will first go to the absolute darkest area on our wolf here, which is the nostrils. So take the pen and outline the two nostrils and fill them in like this. We don't want to just completely color in the entire nose since there are light spots on the nose that we definitely want to show for realism. So like this, I just filled in the two nostrils. And now I will just outline the bottom of the nose. So like this. We'll also just outline the top of the nose. And because the nose is a very dark area, we want to use very, very small and tight lines. So at the tip of the nose, you can see that there is a little area of light. So we want to just box that in to show that we need to leave that out so we don't accidentally cover it. So at the very tip, box in the light. Now we can just use our lines, so small tight lines, to fill in the area. But since they're not as dark as the nostrils, we won't fill them in completely. We will just be using lines. And now do the same for the rest of the nose. So just using lines and not filling it all in. So hopefully this is clear enough for you to for everyone to see the difference.
Not touching.
So we were able to easily create different tones just by controlling how many lines we use. So the top of the nose, the lines are closer together, so they're darker. And the front of the nose, it's much lighter because we added more space between our lines. So this is definitely very important to keep note of. So now we can move to the mouth. just draw a straight line for the mouth. Don't go past the nose. So just this much. And then for the fur between our nose and our mouth, we will just lightly draw in some lines for the fur. So right now, it's very good to have your reference picture out so you can directly observe from the reference picture. And also make some tight lines just below the mouth. And then we can go up to this area. So we can draw little lines going up the mouth. And then once it gets here, make it tighter, like that. And then just draw in some small furs around the nose. They're pretty small and spread out. I'll give everyone a second to just complete this area. So we can move on to our eyes. So for the eyes, we just want to take our pen and just carefully outline our circles. They're roughly about the same size. Like this. Just outline the eyes. And then for the pupil of the eyes, let's first just take our pencils to mark them in so that we can make sure that it's in the right place. So the pupils are just small circles above the center of the eyes. So they're above, a little above the center of the eyes. And there's also a little light area inside the pupil. So we want to show that. So just draw in the circle for the pupil, and then draw in a smaller circle within that. And now you can just color in the entire pupil. Now, we want to finally draw in the shape of our eyes. So from the top of the eye, draw a line downwards like this, and then draw a curve. So this is the point of the eye, and also do the same for the other side. Like this. And then for the right side, there will be a small point on the outside as well that is not visible on the left side. And now, just using very, very small but tight lines, we want to fill in the area around these eyes. So you can see the dark area around the eyes are quite big for this wolf. Just use small lines and fill in that area. Just like that. Just like that. I will give everyone some time to catch up on this step before we can move on. So another defining feature around the eyes is that there are pockets of lighter fur above and below the eyes. So we want to draw those in, but we're not just going to be drawing in the shape with our pen. We want to kind of like carve it out using small fur lines. So a very important part when drawing animals to make them realistic. This applies to shading with both graphite and pen is following the direction of the fur. You can see that at the center, all the fur is moving upwards, and then it keeps going up, but then it starts going to the sides. And then down here, it's going outwards and downwards. So it kind of follows this pattern. So from the center, it moves up, and then it goes around, and then to the bottom, it's going facing down. So most of the fur follows this pattern. So when you're drawing in the fur, we definitely want to make our lines also very clearly following this pattern, this direction. So just take your pen
Same.
and from the center here, we will start drawing the fur around the eyes. So in the center, don't make them too close apart yet, since this part of the fur is much lighter. The direction of the fur is vertical. And there's this dark line of fur just down here, below the eyes. And it's also present on the other side, like this. You can also draw in the fur coming from the eyes. Try your best to follow the direction. And then as you can see, this part kind of outlines our entire snout area. So from the very edge of our eyes, we want to bring out a line. This is a very dark line, like this. And all of the fur goes around this area. So just trying to follow the direction of the fur, like this. You can also layer the lines to make it darker. So obviously when it's not dark enough, just go over it with some more lines like that. So just try your best to follow the direction of the fur. And the same goes with the upper fur. So go like this. We'll also draw in an area above the eyes. That are much lighter that we want to leave out, all the way to the darkest fur on the outside. And now you can very clearly see the light areas around the eyes. I'll also fill in the fur on the middle here. I am now just drawing a little line of fur. Down to the mouth area. So this will block in our entire snout shape. You can also do the same on the outside over here. So this is what you should have in terms of progress so far. You really want to follow a pattern when drawing fur. When you use graphite and you are shading, oftentimes you will use a method called cross-hatching. So that's when you draw lines in a certain direction first, all lines in the same direction, and then change the direction and then draw over it. So when you're trying to fill in an area while shading, that is very useful. But we definitely want to avoid that when we are drawing fur, because the fur obviously follows a very specific direction on the picture, and it requires all the lines to look uniformed instead of looking messy, which it can very easily get. So now that we have all the face areas down, we want to just block in some of the darker parts on the face, on the entire drawing. So if you look at the top of the head here, you'll see that there are patches of very dark fur concentrated right below the ears, as well as up the center of the ears. So we definitely want to draw in that dark part so we have that for reference to determine the darkness of the other parts. So then we have it. It starts here. So right at the base of the ear, at the center part, in the center of the ear. So we can draw lines going outwards. So when you're drawing with pen, don't try to add more pressure to make your lines feel darker. You just want to add more. So now I'm just adding more lines and more lines until it becomes completely dark. Like that. And we'll also do the same for the right side. So here the lines are moving upwards. Like this. So keep adding lines to make it darker. We want to make sure all the lines are its own line instead of just scribbling. So like this. So we have two areas that are dark. And then up the middle of the ear. We can draw a dark line moving upwards, but then it gets lighter as you go to the top. So it's dark at first, and then it gets lighter. So I will begin filling in the dark parts on the other ear as well. So you can see this part has two layers of this dark fur. Like this. And then up the middle. It's almost like a tree kind of shape here. So this is what you should have so far. I will give everyone some time to catch up. I'll just put it a little closer so you can see that how close it is still pretty messy. And that is how pen drawings will look when you're just starting off. So don't feel discouraged when a drawing isn't looking how you want it to at first. What's important is to continue drawing no matter what, because chances are it will turn out better than you think, and also you learn something along the process. So now that we have these smaller, more intricate parts of the drawing down, we can start using bigger lines, faster, quicker lines for the rest of the large areas of fur that we need to cover. So first, let's just outline the fur along the outside of the wolf. So starting from the top, I'm just looking at the reference picture and outlining the shape of the wolf using lines, using fur, completely ignoring our circle that we made during the rough sketch. So up here, since it's very thin, I'm just going to use very small lines. So very small lines to outline the outside. So we are still continuing to follow the direction of the fur. So the lower it gets, the direction will slowly also point downwards. So especially here, you can see that the fur is pointing outwards. And now it's beginning to start tilting downwards. So I'm getting lighter and lighter here because this part is white fur. And now I'm just going back and darkening this strip of dark fur. And up here, I'm using longer lines. For the outside fur. So it's getting longer down here, longer and longer. And we'll leave that here for now. And just do the same for the other side. So like that. Just vary the length of your lines to show the unevenness on the fur. So some are longer, some are much shorter. This. And don't forget the ears. This part is very light, so I'm using very small pen strokes and making them further apart. But then once you get up here, it's darker, so I'll make the lines much more tighter together. Like this. So now we have the fur along the outlines of the wolf. I will also add some small lines down here just to show the lower side of the wolf's mouth so that we can have that outlined. Still following the direction of the fur, which is downwards. So hopefully now you will have a pretty distinguishable wolf So after this step, we will start filling in these empty areas with furs, and hopefully we can do it pretty quickly just by knowing the direction of the fur. So here it's going up, here it's going outwards, here it's facing pretty downwards, and then out here it's very light and it's also going downwards. So I'm just gonna have this here so that we know. So now I will start just filling it in. So these areas, they're all about the same shade of fur. So you don't have to worry too much about varying your shading. We are not trying to be very careful here, because as long as we follow the direction of the fur, no matter how messy our line work may be, it will still look realistic. Just make sure your lines are going in the same direction. Going in the same direction as the ones that we determined earlier. So this is a pretty tedious step. So you can just try it out, but if you truly can't keep up, that is fine. Since this part is pretty simple, you can leave it for any time when you'll have time. So still being careful. For lighter areas, we need to leave blank. like this. And for areas that are a bit darker, just add more lines to darken it. So here on the snout, I'm just going lighter and further apart. So this whole area is pretty much just the same. Darker areas require more lines. Lighter areas requires fewer lines. Just make sure that you can very clearly see the direction that the fur is going in. And for the lower area over here, just make sure that you can separate the little tufts of hair. So I will show that once we get to that area. So down here, I'm just using lines to separate the different tufts of hair. So here is one. Here's another one. And here are smaller ones. Just like that. And this whole area behind the back here is completely dark. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to fill in anything right now, since working with pens are quite time consuming. So if you do have time outside of class, you can just pull this drawing out and just add some lines to it. So another important thing we need to add, so if you're doing anything else, you can just leave it for now. It's because this area is very important for us to add. It's the whiskers. So we'll draw these little dots on the snout for the whiskers, and just draw long lines, long continuous lines. Try not to break the lines up. take your time, go slowly. They get shorter at the bottom and longer on the outside. And there are also some on the bottom here. Like this. So hopefully everyone was able to complete the distinctive features like the eyes and the nose, so that it looks like a wolf. And I understand if you weren't able to go too far, since this does take a lot of time, but hopefully now you know how to move forward with this drawing. So you know that it's very important for you to follow the direction of the fur and use spacing of the lines to create the different shades. So if you want, you can show your drawing to me and the rest of the class. This video is live streamed on YouTube. So if you need it, please go to the video so you know what to add. If you would like, you can take a picture of what I have from mine so far. So I will leave my wolf like this. The rest of the drawing is just very much the same. So hopefully you're able to complete it or make more progress on your own. And hopefully, when you draw drawings like this on your own in the future, you know what to look for, what to observe in the reference picture. So if you would like, you can show me your progress. Ooh, that looks very nice. It looks, and you did even more than me. You're very fast. That's
Wow.
very nice.
Really?
Ooh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
How are all of you faster than me? That's very nice progress, everyone. All of you captured the features of a wolf very well. So you can tell, even if you're not done, you can tell very clearly that it's a wolf. So good job, guys. Those are
Thank
very
you.
nice.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.